Howdy, y'all. Active Acid on Roids here with a nuclear-powered rant. That's Active Acid on Roids, kryptonite for conservatives. I'm off my roids. Actually, I'm on my roids. Yay. Off my rocker and on the warpath. Here we go. Well, with the over 19,000 emails that have been leaked of the DNC's concerning the DNC's mechanizations against Bernie Sanders. You know, to Hillary's supporters, I would say don't say I didn't tell you so, but that just doesn't cut it at this point, considering just how deplorable the behavior of the Hillary camp has been since the start of the Democratic primaries. Sorry about that. Eating brick oven pizza sort of stops me up. Helps I stay stopped up because of my job, but whatever. You can tell just by looking at my face I've gotten a lot older since I first started doing this shit over the last couple of years, and it's just, I don't know, it's just this job, it takes its toll on me a lot more than most of the others I've had up to this point. Like my coworker Sally Bellwether, just forget that name, as my coworker Sally once told me, working in this place will make you old. Oh, Sally, if only you knew just how right you were. Alright, back to the point at hand. With the over 19,000 emails that have been leaked concerning the DNC's behind the scenes plotting against Bernie Sanders over the course of the primaries, and with the assholish behavior of Hillary supporters across the board. And I do mean assholish, because when you reduce yourself to using authoritarianism, when you've reduced yourself to using fear to get people to vote for your candidate just because your candidate has nothing else to offer, you're just a Republican at the end of the day. If your economic policies are right of center, and the VP pick is supposedly is an anti-abortion, anti-gay marriage, basically a social conservative. And Tim Kaine, that guy's got a few scandals of his own that aren't Republican generated too. So why? It's like birds of a feather flock together. There's a difference between being a social liberal and being socially indifferent. And socially indifferent is what the Hillary camp Democrats have been and will continue to be. It's just they don't really care about social issues outside of maybe women's rights. And even that doesn't really help much, because in the area of social change, because for the most part, there are a bunch of upper middle class white women who are just pissed off and think it's their time. And I don't want to sound sexist or anything about that. I don't, but at the same time, I'm thinking, no, it's not even sexism. It's just, I don't know. I don't want to repeat the same MRA bullshit mantra, because I despise those guys with a purple-hearted passion. But these very same people, you would never catch them speaking out against actual hardcore abuse against women in places like, say, Bangladesh, India, or even Saudi Arabia, because hey, they don't really have the courage of their convictions to go out there and fight a real fucking battle. To quote certain people here on YouTube, first world problems, my friend, first world problems. And I don't even like using that term, because I think it obfuscates the real the fact that we actually still have to continue fighting in many quarters for women's rights. But at the same time, I have no other way to really describe it. But back to what I was saying before, I keep getting off on these tangents. You can tell I'm just got out of bed. But back to what I was saying before. If your candidate has economic policies that are center right, and you call yourself a progressive, and you sell out and begin to repeat the mantra that Republicans have spouted for years against your own fellow Democrats, you're not a Democrat anymore. And I think it's time that many Hillary supporters actually do some real introspection and think about whether or not they belong in the Democratic Party. You know, I see the whole, oh, Bernie Sanders, he slandered the Democratic Party. He slandered, no. He had the endorsement of the Vermont Democratic Party when he ran in 2006. He might have ran as an independent, but he at least had the endorsement of the Democratic Party. Now, what does that fucking tell you? Just fear. We're told by Clinton supporters that we have to fear Republicans enough to vote for them, even though the third way DLC corporatist crowd has no intention of allowing us to push a truly progressive second New Deal set of policy proposals in modern America. And they'll quash any attempt by us to get the party back for liberals by watering it down to the point where our efforts are useless, because that's basically what a right of center Democrat from Hillary's camp is, from the Rahm Emanuel, Chuck Schumer camp is. It's just a Republican and a Democratic guys doing everything it can to kill economic justice, the fight for economic justice in its cradle. And I don't know why this is so hard for Hillary supporters to get to their fucking heads. Fear of Donald Trump is no reason to vote for a politician like Hillary fucking Clinton, who really embodies the very thing that Democrats once stood against. So I really don't know what to say at this point. I mean, you got Republicans telling people to be afraid of gays, Muslims, Latinos, and then you got Democrats telling everyone within their base to be afraid of Republicans, to be afraid of Donald Trump. I mean, when you use fear to get people, to manipulate people into voting for someone that they are wholly against, you're an authoritarian. You've crossed the line into outright fascism, and you have no real selling point. That's the reason why Hillary supporters can't give us one good reason why anyone should vote for her. But we're told that if we don't vote for her, then we're somehow Republican plants, or we're somehow sexist, or we're somehow conspiratorial nuts, and yada yada yada. You know, and even though the 19,000 leaked emails basically prove that everything we've said up to this point is true, but you know what? Hillary supporters, they've made up their mind a long time ago that they're just going to shut us out and say, hey, we don't need millennials or independents to win because we got everything we need. Yeah, that's nice. That's real fucking nice. Isn't that just fucking beautiful? The whole sticking one's head in the sand and pretending that there isn't a problem. Just no. Just to Hillary supporters, I just say, please, just shut the fuck up. Just shut up. This is just this is embarrassing. This is just fucking sad to watch. This is cringeworthy. I just ugh. Just hearing Hillary supporters tout a bunch of platitudes and basically take the very act they basically take what's expected of a candidate for office, twist it around on its head, and turn it into some kind of justification for why they're somehow entitled to everyone's vote. That's not how democracy works. I don't know what planet these people are from, or just how. I mean, just taking the very idea behind democracy, that the politician, the candidate for office has to earn your vote, taking that and twisting it around and saying, oh, then you're a traitor to your country, and you support Donald Trump if you don't back her. I'm sorry, but that just smacks of Karl Rovian bullshit through and through. But you get the politicians you deserve. And if older Democrats who really have no excuse at this point to be afraid of anything, because they reach that point to where fear shouldn't even affect them, but they'll still vote for Hillary Clinton anyway. I'm sorry, but you have no fucking character. You are a pimple on the ass of America, and your parents, who were from the greatest generation, would slap the shit out of you if they could crawl out of their graves to do so. You have betrayed everything that the greatest generation, that the New Deal coalition ever fought for, and you have lost any right, any claim to being a fucking Democrat. You have lost any claim to being a progressive, because, hey, guess what? If you vote for a candidate with right-of-center economic issues, who supposedly has liberal leanings on social issues, guess what? It doesn't matter if that person has liberal leanings on social issues. They are just socially indifferent, because economic policies that are conservative in nature, that are right-of-center in nature, ultimately lead to conservative social policies, by virtue of of those policies creating poverty, which in turn leads to religious extremism. This ain't rocket science. But it's amazing how so many people, whether they're right-of-center DLC corporatists like Tim Kaine, Chuck Schumer, Rahm Emanuel, Hillary Clinton, or whether they're libertarians, people who have right-of-center economic beliefs, but at the same time supposedly liberal social beliefs. I'm sorry, but your social beliefs are not liberal, because ultimately they will mean nothing in the long run, because your economic policies will undermine them long term. You're socially indifferent. Stop confusing the two. There's a difference between a liberal and a libertine. So I have, I'm sorry, but all these people that I worked with for years, who have quite literally sold out their fucking values over electability, when they could have had both electability and their fucking conscience and their fucking character. I just, after today, I will never trust the Democratic Party again. After this year, I had my name removed from the DNC mailing list. I've been a Democrat for 12 years, a member of the Alabama Democratic Party for 12 years, and I'm a former president of the Jacksonville State College Democrats. I've been there, I've done that, but somehow I'm the fucking bad guy. I'm being painted out to be the bad guy by people who are basically defending the very folks who are an insurgent within the Democratic Party, whose only real goal is getting rid of anything we ever believed in, anything we ever cherished, and rolling back anything that the greatest generation ever fought for. So no, I have no fucking respect for the Clinton camp. anymore because they sold out their values. Any progressive who voted for her only because of fear has betrayed the very ideals that FDR and so many other liberals fought for. The only thing you have to fear is fear itself. The only thing you have to fear is fear itself, and you have fallen victim to fear. You're impotent. You're impotent as a progressive. You have no place calling yourself a progressive. And if you ever should call yourself a progressive, any real progressive worth his salt should walk up and slap the shit out of you. Just hit you, do the crime, do the time, because, hey, you don't fucking deserve to call yourself a fucking progressive, and you're weighing the rest of us down by working with the very people who have only had it in their agenda to make it where the Democratic Party cannot be used as a reliable vehicle for progressive economic or social change. So, yeah, there's just... I don't know what to do. It's like all they have to do is it's like in the 1980s it was Jesse Jackson, in 2004 it was Howard Dean, this year it was Bernie Sanders. It's like every single time we have someone who is anti-war and relatively favorable to progressives, what happens? The DLC corporatists and third way crowd decide to gin up the whole internal war against progressives within the Democratic Party. I mean, they've already got Clinton supporters touting that we're not needed, that we're somehow unimportant, that we no longer matter and everything. So I'm just like, hey, if independence, if you think you can go, let me just say this: if Clinton supporters think they can get by without independents and millennials, the very group that Democrats know that they actually need for the Democratic Party to have any kind of long-term survival, considering just how bad they've sabotaged our capacity to really rally millennials with a straight face, I'm starting to wonder whether Clinton supporters are Republican plants. It wouldn't surprise me if the Kochs and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce weren't giving all kinds of money to every damn one of them to make sure that they act like just little loyal foot soldiers on the inside. I mean, with friends like that, who fucking needs enemies? You don't just bash progressives throughout the Democratic primary. You don't just bash millennials, bash independents throughout the Democratic primary, and expect them to come back to you. That's Stockholm syndrome. Nobody wants to fucking be with someone who's gonna deliberately fuck them over like that. You don't. The Clintons, all you Clinton supporters out there, you don't deserve to have our alliance. You don't deserve to have us with you. You don't deserve our help. And the truth of the matter is, we're half tempted to let Trump win, just regardless of whether the Supreme Court is on the ballot, just because, hey, if we vote you guys in, if we vote your person in, she's just going to put more people in the DNC that are no damn good, that are basically going to gear the system against the state parties, who's going to gear the system against the grassroots, who's going to gear the system against the very people that the Democratic Party needs to win anyway. So what's the point of fucking siding with you? If you're going to fuck us over long term like this and defund everything that we need to win on behalf of getting one of maybe 5 or 6 politicians who are part of the inner circle of the third way corporatist crowd elected at the expense of the rest of the frickin' party, you're no damn good to us. You're no good. You have no redeeming value to the Democratic Party, to progressivism, whatever. So, I know I keep repeating all of the stuff I've already touched on in earlier videos, but the real question I have to ask is, when is it going to be enough? Every year we have these same third way center-right corporatists within the Democratic Party basically telling liberals that we have to fucking vote for them out of fear of the Republicans. Before it was John McCain, then it was Mitt Romney. Back in 2004, it was George W. Bush's reelection and everything. I mean, they always have some scary ass motherfucker that they can use in a way that's eerily similar to what religious fanatics use when they try to tell you that if you don't believe in their God, you're going to go to hell. I have to draw a parallel there between the two. It's always the whole loaded gun held to your head kind of thing where they're like, oh, vote for our guy or you'll have to deal with the Republican whack job. Newsflash: the Republicans have been whack jobs since the 1960s. They've just been getting progressively worse. You can't use that over and over again if your own candidate has no real selling point to the American people other than I'm not as bad as the other person. What part of that do you not get? Sorry, I have to squint. I'm not wearing any glasses right now. It's like I just got back from trying to grab something to eat after I got up, so I'm like, But yeah, just at what point are Republicans not going to put a whack job up there? At what point? I mean, by their logic, by right-wing Democrats' logic, by the logic of right of center Democrats, we shouldn't ever be allowed to vote progressive, truly progressive again, simply because there's always going to be a whack job out there. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't with these people. You can't vote your values within the Democratic Party anymore because they'll always be able to use the whole, if you don't vote for this person, this Republican's going to get elected. You don't vote for this person. Like they're entitled to your vote. It's just another way of saying they're entitled to your vote and another way of using fear to manipulate you to vote against your progressive values. I say fuck that shit and fuck them. The whole Rahm Emanuel Clintonista crowd can kiss both sides of my increasingly fat ass. I have no intention of selling out my values. I have no intention of selling out to the very people who spent half a year bashing the shit out of me and other Bernie supporters. The same way they bashed the shit out of us back in 2008. The same way they bashed the shit out of us back in 2004 when they conspired behind closed doors to kill Howard Dean's candidacy back when Howard Dean was worth a shit. The same people who back in the 80s conspired against Jesse Jackson and killed his campaign back then. I mean, come on. At what point do we just see the writing on the wall and realize that the Democratic Party has no intention, that the DNC has no intention of allowing us to do shit with the Democratic Party unless if we fight them to the point to where their political careers are ended. At some point, you just got to draw the line, and you got to start fighting for what you believe in. You got to actually stand up to people. And this is my rallying cry to progressives everywhere. Learn to stand up for yourself against these people. Do not let fear guide your voting habits. They've been doing it for 40 years. They've been hiding behind the boogeyman of the Republican Party to give us mediocre candidates, to give us people in office who basically continue the Reagan Revolution, even when we vote against the Reagan Revolution. So we have nothing to lose. Either way, we got someone right of center who's getting elected who's out to kill the New Deal. So what's the point? What's the fucking point? I mean, yeah, the Republicans are crazy, but you know what? Considering how authoritarian the followers of third-way Democrats, third-way corporatists, and blue dogs have gotten in recent years, I can make the case that they can be just as groupthink-oriented and shameful and just tribalistic just by the way they treated us. And that they can basically throw the facts on the ground under a bus to suit they're very select. They can be just as selective and self-serving as Republicans. So yeah, to those of you who say, "Oh, Matthew, you need to get behind all of you guys. You just need to get behind anyone we put up there, even though we basically rigged the system to make it where that third way corporatist jackass shill can get the nomination anyway, and have marginalized your vote through doing it." I can only say, hey, that shtick's gotten old. It's been old, and it's over. This is Active Asshole on Roids. Peace the fuck out.